Hi, I'm Ryan, 41, and 3 weeks ago my wife kicked me out of my own house because her son told the most ridiculous, Oscar-worthy lies I've ever heard in my life. And the best part? He wasn't even good at lying. He was just persistent. But let me take you to the moment everything officially blew up. It's 4:03 p.m. Tuesday. I'm standing on the driveway watching my shirts, jeans, and one deeply embarrassing pair of Christmas pajama pants fly out the second-story window like my wife is trying to launch a one-man clothing parade across the neighborhood. My wife, Monica, is up there screaming about boundaries and my son's safety and get out of this house. Small detail? The house is mine. Bought it 6 years before I even met her. Paid off. My name on every document. I built the patio with my own hands, and now she's acting like she's the queen of it. But the real star of this episode? Her son Caleb. 17. Baby-faced. Curly hair. Innocent eyes. The type of kid teachers call polite and sweet. While I've personally watched him microwave a fork because it looked like a cool experiment. And he's standing right behind Monica now, doing his favorite facial expression. I'm pretending to be concerned while secretly enjoying this destruction. Look. Made famous by every teenage villain in every Disney Channel movie ever. Our eyes meet for a split second through the window. And there it is. A smirk. Not a big smirk. Not Joker style. Just a tiny, smug little twitch of the lips that says, I won. I swear I felt my blood turn carbonated. Because that one smirk told me everything I hadn't wanted to admit for months. This wasn't emotional teenage nonsense. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This wasn't hormonal chaos or normal rebellion. This was calculated, planned, engineered. By a kid who apparently had enough free time to build a psychological warfare campaign between Fortnite matches. You're probably wondering how we got here. Trust me, so was I. Let's rewind. I'm Ryan, 41, office manager for a plumbing supply company. Not glamorous, but I know more about toilet valves than any human ever should, and it pays well. I met Monica 4 years ago at my cousin's engagement party. She was charming, funny, warm. She had this way of touching your arm when she laughed that made you think you were the funniest person alive. She was also a single mom. Caleb was 13 then, quiet, skinny, awkward. His dad had bailed when he was 6, so he was understandably reserved. I didn't try to be his dad. Didn't try to force a connection. I was just there. Driving him to soccer. Buying him snacks. Helping him with algebra even though I had to Google half of it. For 2 years things were good. Monica and I married. We moved into my house. Caleb seemed like a decent kid. Quiet, but polite. Then, almost exactly a year ago, something shifted. Still don't know what triggered it. Maybe a new friend group. Maybe TikTok taught him psychological manipulation. Maybe he realized he could twist his mom around his finger like spaghetti. But the first signs were small. Little comments. Little moments. Little seeds planted carefully in Monica's mind. And the kid had a green thumb for manipulation, because those seeds grew fast. Before I knew it, Monica was looking at me like I was some kind of undercover villain. And the thing that finally detonated our marriage? Yeah. That was Caleb's masterpiece. The lie so absurd that if I hadn't lived it, I wouldn't believe it. But we're not there yet. This is just the beginning. And trust me, it gets insane. Let me tell you the exact moment I realized Caleb wasn't just acting out or struggling emotionally, like Monica kept insisting. He was strategizing, plotting, running a full-scale psychological operation from the comfort of his messy bedroom that smelled permanently of Axe body spray and Takis. It started about a year ago, one evening when Monica and I were cooking dinner. I was chopping onions, she was making her famous lemon chicken, and Caleb wandered in, all innocent-eyed and soft-voiced. He came up behind Monica, hugged her, and said, Mom, you deserve someone who really listens to you. Now, if he had stopped there? Fine. Sweet even. But then he looked directly at me and added, not someone who gets annoyed every time you talk. Monica blinked. I blinked. Even the onion paused in shock. Annoyed when she talks? Me? This woman could narrate the contents of a grocery receipt for 20 minutes, and I'd listen. I laughed because I thought it was a joke. Monica didn't laugh. That was red flag number 1. Red flag number 2 arrived a week later. Caleb, accidentally, left his phone connected to our living room Bluetooth speaker. I'm entering the room with a basket of laundry when suddenly I hear, he acts totally different when you're not around. My brain froze. Whose voice was that? Caleb's friend. One of the annoying ones he played online with. Then Caleb's voice. I swear, dude. When Mom's not here, he's like a drill sergeant. Makes me clean stuff. Tells me to do homework. He gets all angry. Angry? I've never raised my voice at the kid. The most aggressive thing I ever did was ask him to pick up Dorito bags before ants took over the house. Monica heard that. Accidental. Bluetooth conversation too. She didn't say anything that night, but a new look settled on her face. Uncertainty. Doubt. Like she was replaying every neutral moment through a suspicious lens. Red flag number 3 hit like a truck. We were planning a weekend trip to visit my sister. Monica asked Caleb if he wanted to come. He hesitated just long enough to create drama, then murmured, I don't know. Last time. Ryan snapped at me pretty hard when you weren't around. Snap? I snapped? Me? I once grounded him for 2 days for putting pizza rolls in the toaster face down, but I did that politely. Respectfully. I confronted him. What exactly did I snap about, Caleb? He shrugged and said, I don't want to talk about it. It just made me uncomfortable. Monica went pale. And then he added, I don't feel safe alone with him sometimes. I swear the world went silent. Monica's head whipped toward me so fast I heard something crack. Safe? Safe? He said it so softly, so sadly, so convincingly. If he weren't 17, I'd nominate him for an Emmy. After that, everything changed. Monica started asking me weird questions. Like, why do you look irritated when he talks to you? I don't, by the way. That's just my face. Or, did you say something to Caleb earlier? He seems withdrawn. He seemed withdrawn because he was pretending to be traumatized like a Victorian orphan in a Dickens novel. Or, is there something you're not telling me about how you talk to him when I'm not home? Yes. I say things like, dude, please rinse your dishes. I know. Terrifying. Then came the emotional ambushes. I'd walk into a room, boom. Silence. Whispering between them, snap, gone the second I appeared. Monica's sad eyes. Caleb's wounded expression. It was like I'd stepped into a soap opera where no one told me my character was secretly the villain. And then came the big lie. The lie that got me thrown out of my own house with my Christmas pajama pants flying through the air like a festive war flag. But trust me, that moment deserves its own chapter. Here it is. The moment everything detonated. The exact second my marriage went from slightly tense to Hollywood explosion. It was a Thursday. A normal, boring Thursday. I'd worked a long shift, fought traffic, daydreamed about leftover lasagna, and pulled into my driveway with zero suspicion that my entire life was about to be set on fire. The second I opened the front door, I knew something was wrong. Monica was standing in the hallway, arms crossed, eyes red, breathing hard like she just finished running from a serial killer. Beside her, on the couch, Caleb. Looking terrified. Too terrified. Theatrically terrified. Exactly the amount of terrified you'd expect from a kid who spent 3 days practicing his traumatized face in the mirror. Before I could say a word, Monica whisper yelled, "We need to talk. Now." My stomach dropped. About what? She didn't answer me. She looked at Caleb. Caleb lowered his head like he was in a courtroom about to deliver testimony that would bring down a corrupt senator. Show him, Monica said. He pulled up the sleeve of his hoodie. A bruise. Not a small bruise. A big, dark purple, suspiciously perfect bruise. My jaw hit the floor. What is that? Caleb sniffled. He shook his head like he didn't want to speak. Monica squeezed his shoulder. Tell him, she said. Caleb whispered. You did this. I swear for a second I forgot how to breathe. Me? I said. What, when? This morning, he whispered. You grabbed me. Really hard. You were yelling. And I was scared. I laughed. I actually laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was so wildly, cosmically ridiculous that my brain couldn't process it any other way. Caleb, I said, I left for work at 6:40 this morning. You were asleep. He looked me dead in the eye and said, No, I wasn't. Monica gasped like he just confessed to seeing a ghost. I turned to her. Monica, you know I didn't touch him. I didn't even see him today. She stepped back. Stepped back. From me. Like I was dangerous. Like I was unpredictable. Like Caleb's whispered poison had finally reached the tipping point. I didn't want to believe him. She choked out. But Ryan, this isn't the first time he's told me something like this. Oh, but Caleb wasn't done. He wiped a single tear, I swear he must have rehearsed the tear timing, and said, You always get angry when Mom's not around. I've been scared to say anything. My vision went blurry. Not from anger. From disbelief. For years. For years of being good to him. Driving him everywhere. Buying him holiday gifts. Picking up after him. Backing him in arguments with teachers. Taking him to soccer, appointments, school stuff. And now he was standing here claiming I was some secret monster? Monica broke first. I need you to leave, she said. Until I can figure this out. I need you out. Monica! Out! I looked at Caleb. For one split second, one fraction of a heartbeat. He broke character. His terrified expression flickered. And underneath it? Smug. Victorious. Cold. A ghost of a smile. Just like the one I'd seen through the window 3 weeks later when she threw my clothes out. That one tiny smile told me everything. He wanted me gone. He planned this. He'd been building this moment for months. I grabbed my keys. I grabbed whatever clothes I could find. I walked out of my own house in a daze. As I pulled out of the driveway, I looked up at the window. Caleb was standing there, watching me leave. And this time? He didn't even bother hiding the smile. The kid had won. Or so he thought. Because in 3 weeks, I was coming back. Not to reconcile. Not to apologize. Not to reflect. No. I was coming back with the evidence that would blow up his entire scheme and end the marriage he'd spent a year destroying. He just didn't know it yet. The first 3 days after Monica kicked me out were a blur. I stayed with my younger brother Nate, who greeted me at his door holding a beer in one hand and a look that said, What did you screw up now? When I explained the situation, he listened silently, took a long sip of his beer, and said, So, her kid framed you? Yes. For abuse? Yes. And she believed him? Yes. He nodded thoughtfully. So when are you divorcing her? I wasn't ready to hear that yet. I still had some pathetic, flickering hope that Monica would suddenly snap out of it, call me, and say, Ryan, good heavens, what have I done? My precious baby boy is a manipulative demon, please come home. Shockingly, that phone call did not come. In fact, she didn't answer any of my calls. Or texts. Or emails. Or the letter I left in her mailbox that I spent 2 hours writing because I was trying to sound calm and mature instead of like a frantic man whose entire life had been detonated by a teenager armed with lies and a bruise. Nothing. Radio silence. Meanwhile, Nate had exactly zero patience for my delusion. "Dude," he said on day 5. "You're acting like the houseplant she forgot to water." She didn't forget. She unplugged the hose. By the end of week 1, shock drained out of me and something colder slid in. Clarity. See, I'm not the confrontational type. I hate drama. I hate conflict. I hate raised voices. But what I hate even more? Being framed. Being lied about. Being made into a villain in a house I paid for, built for us, and kept running while Caleb ate his way through the pantry like a raccoon with opposable thumbs. So I did what any rational, calm, totally not spiraling man would do. I hired a lawyer. A real one. The kind with steel gray hair, zero humor in her voice, and an aura that screamed, "I will destroy you respectfully and legally." Her name was Linda Keene. I sat in her office, hands shaking, and told her everything. Every lie. Every manipulative moment. Every red flag. The bruise. The performance. The way Monica had booted me out without asking a single follow-up question. Linda listened with the expression of a woman assessing the perfect angle to sharpen a blade. When I finished, she leaned back and said, "Well, that's one of the most textbook cases of emotional manipulation I've heard in months. Does that help me?" She steepled her fingers. "Oh, honey. It's about to help you a lot." Linda asked 2 questions that changed everything. "Who owns the house?" "I do." "Whose name is on the mortgage?" "Mine." She nodded as if I'd confirmed she won a bet. "And the boy? How's his digital hygiene?" "His what?" She sighed. "Is he sloppy online?" "Oh. Extremely." Linda smiled. A slow, dangerous smile. "Good. Then let's go hunting." Enter, my coworker turned friend, Thomas. Thomas works in IT. Thomas has the social life of a potato. Thomas lives for digital puzzles. And Thomas adores legal loopholes. I showed him the bruise picture Caleb had flaunted. He squinted at it. Yeah, that definitely looks like self-inflicted blunt trauma." "How do you know?" He shrugged. "Did the same thing to avoid wrestling practice when I was 14. Comforting. Then he asked the most important question. "Is his phone on your plan?" "Yes." Thomas cracked his knuckles like a pianist about to play Beethoven. "Then, my friend, you have access to everything he's backed up." I sat there blinking like I'd been hit with divine revelation. Thomas opened his laptop. "Let's see what our boy Caleb's been up to." It took him 2 hours. 2. And then he found it. The jackpot. The smoking gun. The digital equivalent of Caleb signing a confession in glitter. Deleted messages. Private chats. Screenshots. Voice notes. All auto-synced to the cloud. All saved to my family plan. Caleb had written out his entire scheme like a Bond villain with a journaling habit. Lines like, "Mom believes everything if I look upset. If I can get him out, she'll have to move. He won't fight back. He's too nice." And the piece de resistance. "Gonna make a bruise tonight. Tyler says use the counter edge. Should be good." I nearly vomited. Thomas kept scrolling. "Oh ho ho, wait," he filmed himself. "Look." And there it was. A 17-second video Caleb had accidentally recorded while making the bruise. Slamming his forearm into the bathroom counter. Muttering to himself. Checking the mark in the mirror. Going again. And again. And again. At the end, he breathed. Perfect. I sat frozen, staring at the screen. It felt like someone had pressed pause on my entire life. Finally, I whispered. "He ruined my marriage." "For a move to a different zip code?" Thomas shrugged. "Teenagers are stupid." Linda, when I showed her, had a different reaction. She laughed. actually laughed. Ryan, she said, we're filing for divorce. Immediately. And trust me, we're going to do it beautifully. Right on cue. Exactly 3 weeks after she kicked me out. Monica finally texted. Not. Can we talk? Not. I'm sorry. Not. I might have made a mistake. No. Her message was, have you reflected on your behavior? Jake says he's willing to give you another chance. We can talk about you coming back home. I stared at the message. Then I sent my reply. Come by tomorrow. 3 p.m. She responded instantly. Does this mean you're ready to apologize and make this right? I didn't answer. Because tomorrow at 3 p.m. I wasn't bringing an apology. I was bringing destruction. The next day at 2:59 p.m. I was sitting at a corner table in a quiet cafe, a manila folder in front of me, and a USB drive clipped to my keys like a grenade pin. At exactly 3 p.m. Monica walked in. She looked nervous. Worried. But not guilty. Not remorseful. No, she had the expression of someone expecting my apology. She sat down, folded her hands, and gave me this soft, patient smile, the kind therapists use when speaking to difficult toddlers. Ryan, she said, voice gentle but patronizing. I'm glad you're ready to talk about taking responsibility. Jake and I raised a hand. Monica. Before you continue, open the folder. She blinked. Ryan, we don't need. Open. The folder. She sighed, the long-suffering kind, and pulled it open. The first page? Divorce papers. Her eyes widened. Ryan, what is this? Keep going. She flipped to the next page. Bank statements. Credit card logs. Withdrawals from our joint account. 86 individual purchases, all tied to Caleb. Some authorized by her. Her face paled. Ryan, I can explain. Keep going. She turned the next sheet. Deleted text logs. Her son's words printed in black and white. Mom always believes me when I cry. If he leaves, she'll have to move. I just need her to think he's dangerous. Making the bruise tonight. I watched the blood drain from her face like someone had pulled her soul out through her shoes. This isn't real, she whispered. It's real, I said calmly. I'll sync to my family plan. No, she insisted, shaking her head violently. No, Ryan, Jake would never, he wouldn't, he couldn't. I took a breath. Then I pulled out my phone, tapped the screen, and placed it between us. The video began to play. Caleb. In the bathroom. Slamming his arm against the counter. Hard. Harder. Checking the bruise. Adjusting his angle. Repeating. Then. This better work. Monica pressed her hand to her mouth. A strangled sound escaped her throat. She shut her eyes like she wished the world would disappear. No, 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 no. But it was too late. The truth was in front of her. Her perfect, sweet, grieving boy had played her like a violin. Weaponized her motherly guilt. Used her grief from losing her first husband. Manipulated her love. And she had chosen him. Over me. Over reason. Over truth. Over our marriage. She opened her eyes, tears spilling down her cheeks. Ryan, why didn't you tell me? I laughed, a humorless, broken laugh. I called you 50 times, Monica. Texted. Begged you to talk. You blocked me. You didn't want the truth. You wanted confirmation that I was the villain your son painted me to be. She shook her head desperately. Ryan, please. I didn't know. He looked so scared, he told me. Exactly, I said. He told you. That's all it took. Her head dropped. Her voice barely a whisper. What have I done? I didn't answer. Because just then, the cafe door slammed open so hard it rattled the windows. Caleb stormed in. He must have been waiting outside in the car. He spotted the papers on the table. He saw my phone. His own face frozen in the video thumbnail. His entire scheme exposed. And in that moment, his expression went from confident to panic to furious in 2 seconds flat. "What the hell is this?" he shouted. Everyone in the cafe turned to look. Monica whispered, voice trembling. "Caleb, tell me you didn't do this." He opened his mouth. Closed it. Opened it again. His face twisted into anger. "So what if I did?" he snapped. "He never cared about us. He's boring, Mom. I wanted a life. I wanted to move. You would have been happy in the city." She recoiled like he'd slapped her. "You lied to me. You lied about being hurt. You lied about Ryan." Caleb scoffed. "I did what I had to do. He wasn't your real family." A hush fell over the entire cafe. I leaned back, folded my arms, and said quietly, "Thank you, Caleb. That will look fantastic if we ever need to bring this to court." His face collapsed. Monica looked at him like she was seeing him for the first time. Finally understanding. Finally waking up. Finally seeing the monster she'd unknowingly raised. "Get out," she whispered. "Mom. Get out." Caleb stormed out of the cafe, slamming the door behind him. Monica's shoulders crumpled. She buried her face in her hands and started sobbing. "Ryan, please. I didn't know. I didn't see. I never meant to hurt you, I swear. Just please don't leave me. We can get therapy. We can fix this. I can fix this. Please." I looked at her. At the woman who trusted her son's lies over my character. Who threw me out on accusation alone. Who let a teenager weaponize her grief and destroy our marriage. And I felt nothing. The part of me that loved her had died on the driveway the night my clothes flew out the window. I stood up, collected the folder, and said, "There's nothing to fix, Monica. You believe the worst of me without proof. You let him turn you against me. I'm done." She reached for my hand. I stepped back and walked away, leaving her crying in the chair. Her son's lies collapsing around her like a rotten house. A week after the cafe implosion, the divorce was filed, signed, sealed, and on track faster than any case my lawyer, Linda, had handled in months. Why? Because there was nothing to argue about. No property split. No custody. No shared accounts worth fighting for. No judge who wouldn't look at the evidence and think, "Yeah, that kid needs therapy and a reality check." And Monica? She didn't fight it. Didn't contest. Didn't even ask me to slow things down. She just folded. Like a paper house collapsing in the rain. 30 days later, she and Caleb moved out of my house. My brother Nate was the one who told me. They didn't even tell me directly. Apparently Monica cried the entire move. Caleb slammed every door he touched. 3 neighbors witnessed him screaming at her in the driveway. She tried to calm him. He yelled louder. Because here's the part she learned too late. When someone manipulates you successfully, they don't respect you. Caleb treated her with the same venom he used on me, except she had no illusions left to shield her. The moment she lost the house, the stability, the easy life he expected her to deliver, he turned on her. Hard. 2 months after the divorce was finalized, I was painting the guest room when I got a text from an unknown number. It was Monica. Just one line. "I'm sorry." No explanations. No bargaining. No excuses. Just the words she should have said the day she threw me out. I didn't respond. Not because I was angry. Because I felt nothing. Closure had already happened, in a coffee shop, with a manila folder, a USB drive, and her son's mask finally ripping off. A week later, Nate told me the rest, because this town has gossip faster than fiber optic internet. Caleb had dropped out of school. Not because he was expelled. Because he couldn't handle the stress of people knowing what he did. Yes. His own ego couldn't survive the consequences of his own plan. He'd also developed a charming new habit of blaming his mother for everything. "You should have lied better. You should have stood up for me. You ruined everything by believing him. We could have been living in a city by now." Monica apparently just cried. Caleb moved in with his grandparents shortly after. Monica got a small 2-bedroom apartment by herself. The first time she'd lived alone in years. She looked, according to the neighbors, haunted. Actions. Consequences. Reality. It all came for her at once. As for me, I rebuilt. Slowly. Quietly. I fixed up my house, the one I actually loved living in before all the chaos. I repainted rooms. Rearranged furniture. Got a dog. Started going to the gym again. Started cooking again. Started living again. Not in a dramatic, reinvent myself way. Just in the calm, steady way of a man who finally remembered what peace feels like. Do I miss Monica? Sometimes I miss who I thought she was. Do I miss Caleb? I'd rather hug a cactus. But do I regret any of it? No. Because this taught me the hardest truth I've ever learned. You can forgive someone for being flawed, broken, hurting, grieving. But you cannot forgive someone for choosing to believe the worst version of you. Without asking for the truth. Monica believed a lie. Because it was easier. Because it came with tears and fear and an entire script delivered by her son. She chose him. And once she made that choice, there was no version of reality where we survived. The last time I saw her was 3 months after everything. I was at the grocery store, grabbing eggs. She walked past me, thin, pale, tired, pushing a cart with one hand and wiping tears with the other. She froze when she saw me. Whispered, "Ryan." I nodded politely. Nothing more. Nothing less. And then I kept walking. Because that chapter of my life is over. Because she let her son burn down our marriage and handed him the matches. Because I didn't ruin our home. He did. She let him. And I walked away. Rightfully. Peacefully. Finally.